uh, my wife and I we were planning on taking a vacation, for the year. We didn't know where we were going to go, and we thought, well, maybe we'll take the car up to North Norway. And then I changed my mind. And I thought, well, I've always kind of wanted to go to Rome because I've been kind of a history buff. And I thought, it sounds a lot more attractive because it's kind of cold here anyway. And so, we went down to Rome, and right before we left, we really got a strong impression from the Lord that we were supposed to go there to pray. And the place that we got to go to pray was the obelisk that was out in front of St. John Lateran Cathedral. And that's actually, the head church out of all the Catholic churches in the world. And so we went there on a day we were fasting and praying. And we were just praying silently, independently of one another, and we got the same word from the Lord at the same time, which was separation. Mm-hmm. And then so I just anointed the spot with oil, and I was praying, out loud for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And then as soon as I finished praying, as soon as I said Amen, then the bells started ringing from St. John Lateran Cathedral. And it was just like, it was like a random time. It wasn't at the top of an hour or anything, and we were there for over an hour, didn't ring at any other time. So I was like, whoa, what is this, So it was 2 low tones followed by 2 high tones. And I was also thinking like there were 2 lightning strikes on the Vatican dome later when the Pope resigned, and I reflected back over that, the 2 low tones and the 2 high tones. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there's any kind of correlation there, but I just felt like it was very unusual. I think the Lord had a lot of people that He was leading in prayer for a shift in the Vatican, and we're just really hoping a lot of people come out and they get to know Jesus, and mainly that the church who knows the Lord and is walking with the Lord is able to receive them and not get sucked into an ecumenical deception.
Well said.
Mm-hmm. So. But something I wanted to ask you guys about something specifically because, I followed the whole Oslo Accord with some interest, and prophecy really centers around Israel and Jerusalem, and that was kind of the biggest event in Israel's political history since the '67 war, mm-hmm. And so the Lord kind of led us to go to Assisi, and while we were there, we walked down this brick path where they had all these bricks from all over the world where people had donated to the this monument of St. Francis.
Yes.
And it was probably like over 1 million bricks out there, impossible to read them all, but we were just walking down the path, and we just stopped and looked at a row of these names, and all of a sudden there were all these New World Order guys, like Henry Kissinger, Woodrow Wilson, like all these guys in a row, and we're like, whoa, this is weird. And then right along that strip of these bricks with these names on it, you can see this in the video, there's this brick that says 1994, Yasser Arafat, Yitzhak Rabin, Shimon Peres, like all on the same brick. And the other ones just had like 1 or 2 names on them.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. Like, what's this brick doing here at the monument to Assisi, And in '93, of course, the Oslo Accords were, came into being.
Yeah.
And then in 1994, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded here in Oslo to Shimon Peres, Yitzhak Rabin, and Yasser Arafat together mm-hmm. for their progress in the Oslo Accord. Mm-hmm. And so I just looked at it and I thought, is this a sign from the Lord? Is this one of the things that we're supposed to see while we're here? That this whole St. Francis of Assisi thing has something to do with Jerusalem and the Vatican being used to set up, to take control of Jerusalem in the future.
Well, what I will say, Jeremy, and I've said it I think I said it about an hour ago, but I've said it in a lot of videos, is that in 1993, Shimon Peres signed over 60% of the old city of Jerusalem to the papacy and the Oslo Accords. Actually,
when I got back, I saw that thing with Barry Shamish, that video clip. Mm-hmm. I ran into it kind of randomly, and then I looked up some Barry Shamish articles and stuff, and it seems like there is something to that. So I was like, whoa, when I saw that, I thought maybe there's something going on.
But even before that, Shimon Peres, he was trained by the Jesuits in Poland. He's always been a Jesuit alumni. He's always been a low-professed Jesuit, but he's a high Jesuit now, of course.
Right.
And it's the same with Netanyahu. I mean, Netanyahu has never been trained by the Jesuits, but he's actually connected to the Council on Foreign Relations.
Right.
Israel is ruled by Rome. They have the complete deeds to the Temple Mount. But there is a deception here in the sense that if you look at the Dome of the Rock, it's controlled by King Abdullah II. But he himself went to the British Crown, and he himself went to Jesuit Georgetown University. So you find that the people at the top, they're actually controlled by the papacy. That's the truth. But regarding Assisi, yeah, when it comes to Assisi, you see John Paul II there, you know, praying.
Right.
And he always has preeminence, of course, over the one world religion. You have Buddhists, Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims. Same with Pope Benedict. It'll be the same with Pope Francis. So the papacy controls the one world religion.
But you know what I was looking into too is I looked into a little bit of the history of the original Saint Francis of Assisi, and he's venerated among Muslims for his ecumenical initiatives. You know, a long time ago, he was the first one to try to bring unity between Islam and the Catholic Church.
Interesting.
So I thought, well, that's pretty wild. You know, if say, you know, there's a unity between. I don't know if you looked into the theory at all of, you know, of Islam playing a role in end time events, of being, you know, like having something to do with the Antichrist or a false prophet.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people. That theory seems to have weight to it, but then at the same time, the Catholic Church is very clear and also has a lot of weight to it. So I thought, what if there's this synthesis that's going to take place in the last days in Jerusalem between the Catholic Church and Islam through Pope Francis, you know?
Well, the papacy itself is controlled by the Black Pope. That's the Jesuit general, who I do believe is Pope Francis today. That's my personal preference and belief. A lot of people say it's Adolfo Nicholas Pachin. He was positioned by the 35th congregation of the Church of the Jesuit in Rome. And so people debate on who is the Black Pope, but the truth is that the Jesuits control the papacy, the cardinals, the bishops, the conclave, everything, the whole structure. But when it comes to Islam, they're subordinate to the Pope himself. And my understanding of Islam is in Ezekiel 36, where it talks about Gog and Magog, how Russia will be a guard for them. And so it mentions Egypt, Ethiopia, Libya, all of these Muslim nations will actually be under the power of Russia. And we see that today, even with Syria, even though Russia isn't coming into that war, they still are connected to all of these terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. Not PLO, I mean, PLO is not really in power today. But you see, the Vatican could end the war around Israel any moment, but it's in their interest to keep the agitation going on. And so all of these wars are actually serving the agenda. And they could have ended this war in Syria a year ago, but they didn't, because they had to wait for this Jesuit Pope to be positioned, and then Pope Francis, as you know, he's praying for peace to the Queen of Heaven for Syria. And so the Pope of Rome, I do believe, will actually be the Antichrist. He will sign the 7-year covenant, according to Daniel 9 verse 26, for 7 years with Israel and many nations. So,
yeah, it seems like there's a build-up to something imminent, you know?
I think we also have to consider that the Vatican invented Islam.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, I don't know about that, because, I mean, I heard that originally many years ago, and then I looked back into it, and it doesn't seem very plausible. Like, I want to be, I want to be, you know, clear on what the truth is, but I also don't want to just, you know, like whenever you get into conspiracy theory stuff, there is usually a layer of truth to it, but then there's also a lot of people who come on board and discredit the whole thing by going overboard.
Jeremy, have you read the work of Alberto Rivera and his book called The Prophet? It was published by Chuck Publications.
Well, I've seen a couple of his videos.
Yeah, well, he actually revealed it when he was in the Vatican, being trained by the Jesuits to infiltrate churches, that they revealed to him that they did in fact create Islam to be a sword of the church, to take Jerusalem.
Alan, isn't it also in Rulers of Evil? Isn't it also pointed at that theory in Rulers of Evil?
I can't remember at this specific moment, but probably. I mean, yeah.
I'll check.
I have a link if you wanted to a 4-part video with Eric Jon Phelps where he speaks about the Islam being the horror of the Vatican.
Yeah, that would be It would be interesting to have that corroborated.
I'm glad to send you the links if you want to. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, don't call me sir. Sorry.
What you find though, what you will find if you go into real research is that two things are happening. The first thing is all of the world leaders, Jeremy, they're all Jesuit trained, they're all from Jesuit universities. That includes presidents, prime ministers, queens, princes, monarchs, heads of state, ambassadors, everyone at the top. They're all controlled by the Jesuits. They all come from Jesuit universities or the Vatican Knights. And also the second thing is it's fulfilling Bible prophecy. When you look at Revelation chapter 17, it describes the great whore, and she rides the beast. But then the beast, who I do believe is the Jesuit black papacy, overthrows the great whore, and with the 10 kings, that's the one world government, they destroy the whore. So I do believe in the future, the Vatican itself will be destroyed, physically, completely destroyed, literally.
I do too.
There'll be an attack on Rome.
Yeah, that's I mean, that confirms what we think too. You know, it's kind of interesting. Like God has led Douglas into kind of a special ministry, and I got that feeling when we were at the Vatican that the place would be destroyed. In 1989, or I'm not exactly sure if it was 89. I'm not too good on my history, but about that time, you know, Douglas was in Switzerland, and the Lord was leading him into like his first long-term fast, and he didn't know why he was fasting. And so he was fasting for 21 days, and then right at the end of his fast, before he was about to eat his first meal, a guy ran into the room and said, "The Berlin Wall is falling," you know. And so Douglas was like, "Wow, that's really uncanny that the Lord would have me, you know, would bring me here into a place that's kind of secluded to pray for this 21-day duration, and then this Berlin Wall would fall down right on the last day of his fast."
Yeah.
And then when we went to the Vatican, we got there on Saturday the 9th of March, and I thought, well, I'd like to just show Doug around Rome real quick. So we went around to the sites, and then we were coming back and walking past the south side of the Vatican toward our hotel. And then I just got this sense that we should do a Jericho march around the Vatican, you know?
Yeah.
And then the Lord spoke the same thing to Doug at the same time. So we went and did that. And Doug, while we were doing that, he was talking about how all these walls are going to come down, you know? And so what you say now kind of confirms that sense to me that, you know, there's going to be a breaking down of that wall, and maybe it'll be a deliberate destruction. It's kind of funny how this works, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but sometimes it seems like there's a false flag and it's a deliberate destruction, but then at the same time there's a prophetic symbolic meaning in it from the Lord, you know?
Okay, well, Jeremy, well said. Let me explain something here that I've realized. And what you've said is the truth regarding false flag. Okay, when you read the book of Revelation, it describes that the Antichrist receives a deadly wound, but yet is healed. It doesn't say that he dies or he's resurrected, but he receives a deadly wound. And I've shared previously with other people that if you look at John Paul II, remember that gunshot he had?
Yeah.
And it was deflected. The bullet was deflected by some kind of prayer book from Mary. You know, that's complete disinformation, propaganda.
Right.
The fact is that what they were doing was testing the waters with that whole operation. And so what I actually believe is that the Vatican, of course, will be destroyed. But what they've done, of course, I think you will know about this. You know, the Malachi prophecy, they've brought that out.
Oh, yeah.
Through Thomas Horn and Petrus Romanus. And they brought that out so that really, when the time comes and the Vatican is destroyed, and the prophecy of Malachi, which of course wasn't written by this Irish priest, it's written by the hand of a Jesuit. And so what it reveals is that, it actually says in the Malachi prophecy, to bring the quotation, it says that the city on 7 hills will be destroyed, and the Bishop of Rome will shepherd the flock in troublesome times during tribulation. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to happen is that during this attack on the Vatican, the Pope in the future will be struck with a deadly wound, and it will appear as if he's going to die. And of course at that moment he will move his throne from St. Peter's to the Temple Mount, Mount Moriah, halfway through the Great Tribulation period, 3.5 years in the 7th week of Daniel, the 70th week. And so the Pope himself will then reveal himself to be the man of sin, the son of perdition. But I do agree with that false flag. I don't know how they'll do that. It could be through Islam, Russia, I mean, I don't know. But I do know that the Jesuits themselves will always work through someone else. I mean, they're the head and hand.
Yeah. But there's got to be some kind of a catalyst for for that move, and there has to be there's got to be a reason why the Catholic Church has actually been promoting the prophecy of Saint Mal